Jax's Revenge Domain.
My name is Marcus Richardson, and I want you to picture yourself sitting in a sterile conference room while 23 people you've worked alongside for years systematically tear apart every aspect of who you are as a professional. They had prepared a document, 190 specific reasons why I no longer belonged at Industrial Solutions Group, the company where I'd given 8 years of my engineering career. Reason number 47, release on outdated measurement protocols instead of digital systems. Reason number 90, resistant to adopting new software platforms. Reason number 156, brings own coffee thermos instead of using breakroom machine. Reason number 190, makes clicking sounds with his pen during meetings. I sat there listening to Derek Walsh, our 38-year-old operations director, read each item with the precision of someone reciting equipment specifications. Sandra Phillips from HR nodded along, like she was checking off maintenance procedures. 21 other faces stared at me, waiting for me to defend myself, make excuses, or storm out. But here's what they didn't know. 3 days earlier, I'd received a phone call that would change everything. And as Derek finished reading the last reason on their list, I stood up, straightened my calculator on the table, and said 6 words that shifted the entire balance of power. Gentlemen, I appreciate the comprehensive feedback. Then I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd memorized. Elena, this is Mac Richardson. I accept your offer. Yes, the $320,000 base salary plus equity works perfectly. Before I tell you what happened next, I need you to understand something. Have you ever been the guy who keeps everything running while everyone else gets the credit? Because what I'm about to share will either make you feel vindicated or make you realize you need to start documenting your value immediately. Let me take you back to where this all started. 8 years ago, I joined Industrial Solutions Group as a senior process engineer. I was 39, recently remarried, and looking for stability after my previous company got bought out and gutted. I brought 17 years of manufacturing experience and a track record of cost reduction projects that had saved my employers millions. From week one, I noticed something that would define my entire experience there. The company was hemorrhaging money through inefficient processes and compliance violations. Their biggest client, an automotive parts manufacturer, was threatening to terminate their contract because production quality had declined 23% over 6 months. I watched Derek scramble for weeks trying to identify root causes, so I stayed late, analyzed their entire quality control workflow, and redesigned their inspection protocol. I left a complete implementation plan on his desk with a simple note: this addresses the variance issues. Derek presented my solution the next morning like he'd developed it himself. The client renewed their contract. Derek got recognition from corporate. That became the pattern of my career there. I fixed problems that didn't officially exist in our system documentation. I solved compliance issues that others created through shortcuts. I watched my fingerprints disappear from every success story. When our ISO 9001 audit nearly failed due to documentation gaps, I rebuilt their entire quality management system over a weekend. When a client demanded impossible delivery schedules, I redesigned our production sequencing to meet their timeline. When new EPA regulations threatened to shut down operations, I developed compliance procedures that kept us operational. But I made one critical error. I never demanded visibility. I never played internal politics. I never made myself known to upper management. I thought solid engineering work spoke for itself. I thought solving problems was enough. I thought being reliable meant being valuable. I was wrong about all of those things. The truth is, while I was keeping their operations profitable, my colleagues were building something else entirely. They were building a narrative about me. It started subtly. During department meetings, people would mention that I didn't participate enough in collaborative discussions. When I focused on technical specifications, instead of chatting about sports, someone would note that I was difficult to connect with. Derek began scheduling important planning sessions during my equipment inspections, then expressing surprise when I asked for updates. Sandra started assigning me to projects with impossible timelines, then documenting my inability to meet aggressive deadlines. Timothy Walsh, a junior engineer fresh out of college, made comments about how I probably learned engineering before computers existed. But the real turning point came 6 months ago. I was working on the annual efficiency analysis for our largest manufacturing client when my phone rang. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize, but the voice on the other end changed everything. Mr. Richardson, this is Elena Rodriguez from Pinnacle Engineering Solutions. We've been tracking your work for quite some time. Would you be interested in discussing a senior executive position with our firm, Pinnacle Engineering Solutions? Every process engineer in our region knew that name. They were Industrial Solutions Group's primary competitor, the firm that consistently won contracts we lost, the company that somehow always seemed to deliver better results with more efficient methods. Alina explained that they'd been analyzing performance metrics across the industry for over a year. They'd noticed something interesting. Every major improvement, every client retention, every innovative cost reduction at Industrial Solutions Group had one common factor. My methodologies, my process designs, my systematic approaches, they weren't trying to steal proprietary information or poach random employees. They were trying to hire the person who was actually driving operational success at their biggest competitor. They were trying to hire me. The offer was staggering. $320,000 base salary, equity participation, my own engineering department, and something I'd never had at Industrial Solutions Group, recognition for the work I actually performed. I told Elena I needed time to consider it. I wasn't ready to abandon the company where I'd invested so much effort. Despite everything, loyalty meant something to me even when it wasn't reciprocated. That loyalty was about to be tested in ways I never imagined. Over the following weeks, the atmosphere shifted. Conversations stopped when I entered rooms. People started excluding me from informal technical discussions they'd never invited me to anyway, but now they made sure I knew about it. Derek began assigning me tasks that seemed designed for failure. Then Sandra called me into her office for what she described as a culture fit evaluation. She sat behind her desk with a legal pad covered in notes and told me that several team members had expressed concerns about my adaptability to modern workplace dynamics.
What specific concerns? I asked.
She flipped through her notes like she was reading from a quality control checklist. Well, you don't seem to embrace collaborative software platforms. You don't participate in team-building initiatives. Some people feel like you resist modernization efforts. My efficiency improvements have saved this company $8 million over 8 years. My compliance procedures prevented 3 major violations last year. My process optimizations increased production capacity by 18%. Technical performance and cultural alignment are 2 different metrics, Marcus. This is a dynamic workplace. We need people who can adapt to evolving methodologies. The conversation was suffocating. I was the only person actually implementing proven methodologies. When Timothy needed help understanding lean manufacturing principles, I spent hours teaching him value stream mapping. When Derek's cost projections failed, I quietly recalculated them and never mentioned the errors. When Sandra's compliance reports contained inaccuracies, I fixed them without taking credit, but apparently adaptation meant agreeing with initiatives I knew were technically flawed and pretending to enjoy team-building exercises that accomplished nothing measurable. 2 weeks later, Elena called again. Pinnacle had just won another major contract, beating out Industrial Solutions Group by proposing exactly the type of systematic approach I'd been advocating for months. Marcus, we're prepared to increase the package, and honestly, we need someone with your expertise. We have 12 manufacturing clients asking specifically for the kind of process optimization you're known for. What do you mean, known for? Your reputation in this industry is significant. When companies need genuine efficiency improvements instead of trendy consulting approaches, they ask for you by name. They just don't realize your current employer doesn't recognize what you bring to their operations. That conversation stayed with me for days. I started paying attention to things I'd ignored before. When clients called our main number requesting technical consultation, the receptionist often transferred them directly to my extension. When competitor firms tried to recruit our engineering staff, they mentioned wanting to understand how Industrial Solutions Group achieved such consistent operational results. I was the consistent results. I was the reason clients renewed contracts. I was the technical foundation everyone else was building their careers on. But I still wasn't ready to leave. Something inside me believed that competence and reliability would eventually be recognized. I thought if I just kept delivering measurable improvements, the people around me would eventually acknowledge it. I was about to learn exactly how much they valued me. The meeting was scheduled for a Thursday afternoon. Derek sent an email to the entire department. Mandatory team meeting to discuss operational modernization and collaboration enhancement strategies. Nothing unusual about that. We had these meetings every quarter. I walked into the conference room expecting another presentation about synergy and digital transformation. Instead, I found 23 of my colleagues sitting around the table with printed documents in front of them. Derek stood at the front with Sandra beside him, both wearing expressions I'd never seen before. "Marcus, please have a seat," Derek said, gesturing to a single chair facing the rest of the group. That's when I noticed the banner someone had hung on the wall behind Derek's position. Team Modernization Initiative, Building Tomorrow's Workplace Today. Sandra cleared her throat and lifted a thick stack of papers. Over the past several weeks, team members have been documenting specific behaviors and patterns that impact our collaborative work environment. We've compiled these observations into a comprehensive assessment that we'd like to review with you. My mind struggled to process what was happening. We're going to read through each item so you understand exactly how your approach to teamwork needs recalibration for modern operational standards. The room went completely silent except for the hum of the HVAC system. 23 pairs of eyes stared at me, and I realized this wasn't a performance review or a modernization meeting. This was a systematic character assassination disguised as professional development. Derek began reading. Number 1. Arrives at facility before standard operating hours, creating unrealistic expectations for colleagues. Number 2. Never participates in informal discussions about weekend activities or personal interests. Number 3. Consumes lunch at workstation instead of socializing in designated break areas. He continued reading for 2 solid hours. Every habit, every preference, every characteristic that made me who I was professionally got dissected and criticized by people whose mistakes I'd fixed, people whose projects I'd salvaged, people whose compliance violations I'd prevented dozens of times. Number 67. Uses mechanical calculator instead of computer-based calculation software. Number 118 refers to outdated industry standards during technical discussions. Number 155 maintains personal tools instead of using shared department equipment. As Derek read each item, I felt something inside me crystallizing. Not breaking, not crumbling. Crystallizing. Every word made me more certain of something I'd been avoiding for months. These people didn't want me to modernize. They wanted me gone. When Derek finally reached number 190, the room fell silent again. Everyone stared at me, waiting for my response, waiting for defensiveness, explanations, or resignation. Instead, I stood up, straightened my calculator on the table, and said, "Gentlemen, I appreciate the comprehensive feedback." Then I pulled out my phone and made the call that changed everything. "Elena, this is Mac Richardson. I'm ready to accept your offer." "Yes, the $320,000 base salary plus equity works perfectly. When would you like me to start?" The silence in that conference room was unlike anything I'd experienced in 25 years of engineering. 23 people who had just spent 2 hours explaining why I didn't belong there suddenly looked like they were watching their own operational failure analysis. Derek's face went through multiple expressions in 5 seconds. Sandra dropped her stack of papers. Timothy's mouth actually opened. "I can start Monday," I continued into the phone, never taking my eyes off Derek. "And yes, I understand you'd like me to bring my client relationships with me. I think that can be arranged." I ended the call and slipped my phone back into my pocket. The room remained frozen. "Well," I said, gathering my notebook and pen from the table, "I appreciate you taking the time to help me understand why I'm not a good fit for your modernization initiative. It's made my decision considerably easier." Derek finally found his voice. "Marcus, let's not be hasty. This was meant to be constructive feedback to help you adapt." Adapt to what? A 2-hour systematic criticism disguised as professional development? Not a collaborative effort to humiliate me into quitting. I walked toward the door, then stopped and turned back. You know what's interesting? In 8 years here, not one of you ever asked me why I work the way I do, why I arrive early, why I stay late, why I focus on proven methodologies instead of unproven trends. I looked directly at Derek. "You want to know why I don't embrace your collaborative software platforms? Because while you're entering data, I'm usually solving the problems that your platforms can't identify." Then I looked at Sandra. "And you want to know why I eat lunch at my workstation? Because that's when our West Coast clients call with technical questions and someone needs to be available to help them." I reached for the door handle. "Enjoy explaining to your clients why their trusted technical contact won't be available anymore. I'm sure they'll understand your modernization priorities." The next morning, I cleaned out my workstation before anyone else arrived. I wanted to avoid the awkward conversations and fake concern that would inevitably follow, but as I was organizing my personal items, I found something that made me pause. In my filing cabinet, I had folders for every major client we'd worked with over the past 8 years. Not official company files, but my own notes. Dictated records of every technical consultation, every process improvement, every compliance requirement, every cost reduction strategy I'd provided. Relationship maps showing who made technical decisions, who influenced those decisions, and what operational priorities mattered most to each organization. I'd kept these records because I genuinely cared about delivering reliable engineering solutions. But looking at them now, I realized they represented something much more valuable. They represented 8 years of trust, relationship building, and problem solving that belonged to me, not to Industrial Solutions Group. My phone buzzed with a text from Elena. "Welcome to Pinnacle Engineering Solutions. Can we schedule a call to discuss your transition strategy?" I photographed every page in those folders before I left the building. The weekend between my last day at Industrial and my first day at Pinnacle was unusual. I kept expecting to feel guilty about leaving or nervous about starting over. Instead, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years, anticipation about going to work. Alina met me in the lobby of Pinnacle's downtown office on Monday morning. The building was everything Industrial's outdated facility wasn't modern, efficient, designed for people who actually wanted to be there. Before we go upstairs, Elena said, I want you to understand something. We didn't hire you to be another process engineer. We hired you to be exactly who you already are, the person who solves problems others can't solve, the person who builds relationships that last decades, the person who makes impossible operational targets achievable. She handed me a folder marked Client Transition Opportunities. These are companies that have expressed interest in working with Pinnacle Engineering Solutions, but only if we can demonstrate the same level of technical expertise they've grown accustomed to elsewhere. I think you'll recognize most of the names. I opened the folder and felt my pulse increase. Every major client from Industrial Solutions Group was listed. Not just listed, but detailed with specific notes about their current operational frustrations, contract renewal dates, and decision-making timelines. How did you acquire this information? We didn't acquire anything inappropriate. These companies reached out to us. Apparently, there's been some concern in the industry about technical service quality at certain firms. Companies are quietly exploring alternatives. Elena led me to an elevator that required a key card to access the executive floors. Your office is on the 12th floor, corner office. Southern exposure, view of the industrial district. Your assistant starts tomorrow. Your engineering team of 6 specialists starts next week. The elevator doors opened to reveal a space that exceeded my expectations. Floor-to-ceiling windows, modern equipment, and an atmosphere that felt completely different from anywhere I'd ever worked. One more thing Elena said as we walked down the hallway. We've been planning to open a regional office for our expansion into the manufacturing sector. Based on your experience in client relationships, we'd like you to head that project. The location is 4 blocks from your former employer. We thought the proximity might be convenient for client meetings. 4 blocks. They wanted me to open an office 4 blocks from Industrial Solutions Group, targeting the exact same market with the exact same clients I'd been serving for 8 years. My phone started ringing before I even reached my new office. Mr. Richardson, this is Howard Fisher from Apex Manufacturing. I heard you'd moved to Pinnacle Engineering Solutions. We've been having some technical issues with our current consulting firm, and I was wondering if we could schedule a meeting to discuss transitioning our account. Apex Manufacturing, Industrial Solutions Group's second largest client. I'd be happy to meet with you, Howard. How does Thursday afternoon work? 3 more calls came in before lunch, all from companies that had been working with Industrial Solutions Group, all asking about the possibility of switching to Pinnacle Engineering Solutions, all mentioning my name specifically as the reason they were interested. By the end of my first week, I had meetings scheduled with 7 of Industrial's major clients. Not because I'd solicited them, not because Pinnacle had pursued them aggressively, but because these companies had been quietly frustrated for months and were just waiting for an alternative they could trust. It turns out that when you're the person actually solving technical problems and building operational relationships, people notice. They notice when their calls get returned promptly. They notice when their concerns are addressed thoroughly. They notice when solutions actually work, and they definitely notice when that person suddenly becomes unavailable. Direct called me on Thursday afternoon just as I was heading into my meeting with Apex Manufacturing. Marcus, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Several of our clients are asking about you, and I wanted to clarify that you're still bound by your non-compete agreement. I almost laughed. Direct, you might want to have your legal team review my employment contract. I signed a non-disclosure agreement about internal processes and confidential information. I never signed a non-compete. Your company doesn't offer those to senior engineering staff. Silence on the other end of the line. Besides, I'm not soliciting your clients, they're soliciting me. There's a significant difference. Look, maybe we can work something out. What would it take to get you to come back? We could discuss a promotion, maybe a substantial raise. Direct, 3 weeks ago, you facilitated a meeting where 23 people spent 2 hours explaining why I shouldn't work there. I'm going to assume you meant what you said. I ended the call and walked into my meeting with Apex Manufacturing. Howard Fisher looked exactly like I'd expected based on our phone conversations over the past 3 years. Mid-50s, practical approach, the demeanor of someone who valued results over presentations. Marcus, I'll be direct. Working with Industrial Solutions Group has become frustrating. Our account manager doesn't understand our technical requirements. Our compliance reports are consistently late, and when we have operational problems, it takes days to get qualified answers. But every time we called you directly, everything got resolved immediately. He slid a contract across the table. We want to work with you, not with your former employer. Can Pinnacle Engineering Solutions handle our account? The contract was worth $8 million annually. It was Apex Manufacturing's entire engineering consulting budget, and they were offering to transfer it completely to Pinnacle. We can absolutely handle your account, Howard. When would you like to start the transition? Immediately. We've already notified Industrial Solutions Group that we won't be renewing our contract when it expires next month. That meeting lasted 3 hours. By the time I returned to my office, I had 6 voicemail messages from other industrial clients wanting to schedule similar meetings. Over the next month, the exodus accelerated. 7 major clients representing 50% of Industrial Solutions Group's annual revenue chose not to renew their contracts. Not because I convinced them to leave, but because they'd been frustrated for months and finally had an alternative they trusted. Elena was delighted. I've never seen anything like this. Companies are calling us asking specifically for you. We're going to need to accelerate the timeline for opening that regional office. 8 weeks later, I stood in the lobby of our new regional office, watching as movers installed our company sign in the window facing the street. Anyone walking from the parking garage to Industrial Solutions Group's building would see it. Pinnacle Engineering Solutions Regional Office. Marcus Richardson, VP of Technical Operations. My name on the sign. After 8 years of invisible work, my name was finally visible. 6 months later, our regional office had grown to 15 employees. We'd won 12 new clients who had never worked with Industrial Solutions Group. Our revenue projections for the first year were already being exceeded in month 6. Elena visited our office to check on our progress. As we sat in my conference room overlooking the street, she asked me something I hadn't expected. Do you ever wonder what your former colleagues think about all this? I looked out the window toward Industrial Solutions Group's building. I know exactly what they think. They think I stole their clients. They think I sabotaged their business. They think I'm the villain in this story. Are you? I thought about that question for a long time. I don't think so. I think they created a situation where their clients had to choose between loyalty to a company and loyalty to the person who actually served them technically. And the clients chose the person. Elena nodded. What would you tell them if you could? I'd tell them that the 190 reasons they listed for why I shouldn't work there turned out to be 190 reasons why I was exactly the kind of engineer I needed to be. Except they were wrong about one thing. I shouldn't work somewhere I'm not valued. I shouldn't work somewhere my contributions are invisible. I shouldn't work somewhere technical excellence is treated as a character flaw. I stood up and walked to the window. But I should definitely work somewhere that appreciates what I bring to the table. Somewhere that puts my name on the sign. Somewhere that lets me build something instead of just fixing what other people break. Elena smiled. Any regrets? Just one. I wish I'd made that phone call 6 months sooner. So here's what I want you to take from my story. If you're the guy who makes everything work while everyone else takes credit, start documenting your contributions. If you're the guy who solves problems nobody else can solve, start making sure people know you're the one solving them. And if you're the guy who gives loyalty to people who don't deserve it, start giving that loyalty to yourself instead. Because the people who undervalue you are counting on you to undervalue yourself. They're counting on you to stay quiet, stay invisible, and keep fixing their mistakes without demanding recognition. Don't give them that satisfaction.